Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome all. Yes, Angie and Olivia, I saw your comments on Facebook notifications. I don't have any control over that. Facebook is kind of odd on how it handles the algorithm for that on live notifications and feeds. Sometimes I used to get them actually too on my phone, but I don't anymore. So maybe there's a setting that's changed that I'm not aware of, and I'm not that smart to figure it out. So it may be in your settings somewhere. So I would kind of look around to see. But the app by far is the one that always works anytime that we go live here for any type of live weather update. And certainly for the blog, the notification will go out on the app. And that takes only just a few moments, actually, for it to hit the app. So that is your best source to get notified. So if you don't have it, make sure to download it. And then you can always go to Facebook at that time and comment if you want to have any type of interaction. Looks like we got a spammer. Hold on. I got it taken care of. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Good afternoon. Hi, Jason. How are you doing? Hello to Lauren as well. And Jason watching from Cloverport already. So I hope you guys are doing well. Boy, what a cold morning. If you have a home thermometer, type into the chat what you dropped down to this morning on the morning lows. I'll show you the map of what we have on some of the data, but I was 18 at my house this morning in South Louisville. So let me know what you dropped to. All right, let's get into what you really want to know. You want to see the snowboard. I get it. Here's the thing. The snowboard has 2 items on it. Now, before you get too excited, these are very low confidence ones, as I feel like I always say, but I do think they at least are the 2 to watch and monitor. And the reason why next week is covering really Wednesday, Thursday, it may actually be the entire Monday through Thursday window, to be honest, because we have multiple little waves coming in. timing is everything. There's not a lot of moisture with this setup for next week. Temperatures are just right there, and this would have to happen at night or early morning, or it's going to be rain. So next week has got a lot of ifs with it. But even if it were, let's just say if it were to be cold enough to get snow, I don't see a signal right now that would get us below freezing at the ground level. So it would likely not be anything to really worry about. Festive flakes, if you will. So we'll watch it. I'll explain more on that in a second. And then the system as we head into mid December is a significant system, but I right now don't know which side it will be on. It's likely going to be the rain side, but it could end on the snow side, so I won't rain to snow on that one. Again, I'll show you that one in just a second. Let me show you some of your numbers here. We got 18, New Albany. Kathy was in the teens, 20 there, into your part there of Trimble County. Angela, you're sober in Taylorsville, right, Angela? 17 was your low, pretty close to what we had in Southern Jefferson as well. And Marty, I agree. If it's going to snow, it might as well just snow, right? Might as well just snow. And Robert, hi from Washington State. Washington State. Our incoming Pineapple Express heading down to your way. Hello, welcome, Robert. Are you from here, or are you in? They just found us in Washington State. I think it's probably the furthest we've had somebody. What's it like out there in Washington State? I've been to Seattle once. Loved it. Loved Seattle. And I realized too in Seattle, because of the constant drizzle they would have, if you live there, you don't use an umbrella. Only the tourists use umbrellas. Robert, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I learned when I was visiting. You know, you just kind of deal with it if you live there. You don't use an umbrella, and you don't fix your hair. You don't fix your hair at all. You lived in Louisville. Okay, thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Well, I hope you're doing well, and come back and visit us there. It's cold right now in Eastern Washington. Yeah, I bet it is. Debbie, what is the theme of the SnowTALK song? Actually, I don't really know. It's one of the music banks that has been in our system for a while, and I am really big about keeping it the same every year, as well as the graphics. I try to keep it the same because I'm a very nostalgic person. I'm old school. I'm very old school graphics and really TV, to be honest. The 80s and 90s were the prime of TV weather, in my opinion. So I always like those kind of vibes. So that's the reason why my snowflake looks, well, like something that I made in 1995. So there you go. All right, let's move on. Let's get into the temperature side of things this morning. Here's the numbers we had. Louisville dipped to 22. Now, Ryan Hoke is looking at this too to see, but we think this is the second coldest day of the entire year. 20 is the coldest. That was early February. Tells you how warm the winter was. Now, again, this doesn't include December that we had last year. I'm talking about January on. 22 ranks up there as probably the second coldest of the year. And it's been 298 days since we've been to this level. Hence, probably why that water main broke there into Okolona today. 18 in St. Regis. We got 16 in Prospect. Sellersburg at 14. Shelbyville at 14. Quite cold. In fact, the temperature drop was really more dramatic about 2 to 4 a.m. And then we got the south wind. And boy, look at that climb. You got dry air, south wind, perfect setup to move that thermometer fast. And that's exactly what's happened. But you can't move temperature like that in a very dramatic way without something giving way, and that is going to be the wind. So that's the reason why the wind has gotten stronger today. It's going to be gusty, close to about 30 miles per hour in some cases. In fact, wind is going to be an issue for the next 5 to 6 days. We have several systems nearby or passing through that will kick the wind up, sometimes from different directions, but it will be generally a windy setup. So I hope your inflatables are anchored down good, because they will be tested. And this is common. I remember this as a kid. Actually, December to me was always the windiest month of the year, because as a kid, we always had to constantly chase our garland down the street in Okolona, because it would always blow off when I would leave to go to the bus stop in the morning, and I have to always rearrange it in the afternoon. So I always remember December being very windy. Anyway, 45 now in Louisville, 46 in Fort Knox, 48 down into Columbia. All right, nice and clear, quiet. Let's move on to the next setup for our area. You can see much of the country is quiet. Again, hello to Robert. He's over here in Eastern Washington State. And yes, we've got a strong jet coming in. Look at the rain. That's always a good sign of the Pineapple Express when you see rain moving into Central and Southern California. And that will kick in. A couple of systems will feed right into the Eastern United States. They'll kind of curve around while the cold air keeps wanting to attack from the north in waves. And I'll explain how that's going to impact the long range in a second. Let's cover the rain setup first. It should be clear that we're fine this afternoon on dry weather. We're fine for tomorrow. Tomorrow may be the pick of the week. With high clouds moving in, we still will be warm. I would say close to 60 for tomorrow. The rain's going to arrive roughly midnight. There has been a trend to take the heaviest of the rain closer to the low pressure. The low's here. So the heaviest of the rain is going to track near it and north. So basically a big blob. This is more of a front that moves across Kentucky and Tennessee. So that means if you're in Kentucky and Tennessee, you're only going to have generally just one wave of rainfall. That'll be light drizzle and then a band of moderate rain briefly. Meanwhile, those along the path of the low will have a steadier moderate rain for several hours. And I think we're going to see both storylines happen across wave country. So if you're in Indiana, you may get the brunt of the rain on this versus Kentucky. How much rain? Well, the totals have gone down a tad. Not surprising. We're still in a drought scenario. So usually in a drought scenario, until we get everything caught up back on track, especially for the deep south, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, they're worse than we are. Once they get out of their drought status, we tend to see our rain potential increase a bit more. But usually in a drought scenario, you got to kind of reduce totals just a tap. I still think this is a half-inch type of setup. Certainly for Indiana and near Louisville, you can easily get up to 0.8, even up to 1 inch. Can't be ruled out. Nothing severe, by the way. I'm not even still seeing a signal that's really strong for thunder on the southern portion of this. This is mainly just another blob of rain, which we've had that recently. So this is good. This will help us on the drought scenario, even though it's not a Tuesday. This is happening. It is a Friday. So when we get the drought map tomorrow, obviously this won't be included. Excuse me. Hold on one second. The spammer got me choked up. Let me take care of Maria here and get her. Make sure you don't click it. Please don't click it, because if you do, you're going to get all kinds of weird emails. All right, good. All right, so when that rain blob passes by Friday morning, here's the thing. The flow is actually fairly strong across Kentucky and Tennessee all Friday afternoon, really Friday night. So the thermometer will really stay steady. Wherever we climb to Friday, we will stay there likely Friday night as well. So it's going to be a relatively mild setup. It will be windy. Pressure gradient will be strong. And showers would basically just keep regenerating over the same spots on Friday afternoon, Friday night. So it won't be as heavy or as steady as what we have planned here for Friday morning. Friday morning's commute looks like a mess. But Friday afternoon, evening, you're going to have to deal with just a constant drizzle every once in a while. Breezy, but in the 50s. Actually, not terrible. Not terrible, but not lovely either. We get into the weekend, and that's where we got a little more of a active setup here. We got one system that's going to be passing by Sunday. Actually, it's two. One in the northern branch of the jet, one moving across the southern branch of the jet that moves into the Carolinas. At the moment, there's not a connection. They're not shaking hands. So we are really just focused on the one in the Midwest, and it may be too far north to really impact us. So our rain chance for the weekend, we'll keep it low just because there is no shaking of the hands here. So unless this tracks a little more south, or the one on the southern branch tracks north, or they do shake hands, then that would change the weekend outlook. Right now, I am not seeing a sign of that. So the weekend looks tame. But then we get into next week. Once this passes by, you can see the cold air just keeps wanting to dig straight south from Canada right into the Ohio Valley versus a more of a plains attack hitting the Central Plains that's coming straight down to the Great Lakes. These waves keep coming in and they dig. They take a little spin. They dig somewhere in Kentucky or the Appalachians, and then they move on out. Where will that dig be? Good question on that. Some of the modeling has only a slight little dig here into Ohio, which would miss us completely. We'd be dry. We would see a temperature change, likely a drop that would happen. Some want to dig them all the way down into Bowling Green or Nashville, which would then bring in the idea of rain or a rain-snow mix, depending on what time of day they do arrive. And there are multiple ones. Right now, we see one for Monday, one for also Wednesday. There's the Monday one, and here is the Wednesday one to Thursday. In between them, because the way they're timed out, we will try to warm up so that the temperatures may jump well into the 40s, then a drop maybe a day in the 30s. It's possible. Jump back in the 40s and drop back down again. So a bit of a roller coaster ride. But again, these are not Gulf systems. They do not have a ton of moisture with them. So They just don't have the ability to be anything really big. They're like clippers, if you will, that'll be scooting on by the Ohio Valley. But this is where the rain snow chance comes into play. The finer details are just too far out. We need high res modeling to see this, to know exactly the digging part of it and temperatures. Hopefully tomorrow when I'm on here, I'll have a better idea. But today it's still an iffy zone. But then here's the thing. Look at that ridge. This is massive. Ridge develops in the plains. A lot of wind, warm air. Next Friday, Saturday, temperatures may even get into the 60s with gusty winds. But the signal analysis that I've been looking at shows that this is going to be a relatively significant low pressure or cyclone that's going to develop. And the entire ridge is going to collapse. All that cold air will just drop down and we'll end up with a significant system. Now, when that happens, there's a risk here. If it's fairly strong, it's likely going to be one that's going to develop here in the plains and then cut north. We'd be mainly in the rain, maybe even thunderstorm side of it. Maybe some backlash. It's possible. GFS, I'm not showing you the model right now. I'm just focused on the Euro, but the GFS wants to really dig it as a strong low. It makes it really impressive for our area, but that is a very rare track, especially for that intense low pressure for that to happen. So that one right now doesn't make a lot of sense. The GFS tends to be too far south on lows that are strong like that. So right now we're thinking this is going to cut north, but there could be a backlash. Maybe a rain to snow setup. And again, that would be after December 9th. So that's why I got December 11th or 12th in that range. That would be possible. But we'd have to deal with the warm issues with this first. So we'll fine tune that down the road. All right, let's look at the cold air aloft. You can see how it's cold, certainly across Siberia. That's the core of the polar vortex for a while. We'll be there in that area of the globe. But notice it tries to dip down. We get little chunks of cold air, little pieces of Arctic air. And obviously this morning, it's nothing to sneeze at, right? I mean, that wasn't the polar vortex this morning. It was one of the coldest little blobs of air we've had in a while. So you don't need the entire thing to come down here. But there is a sign that it wants to try to build down as we head into December, near Christmas. I think it's too fast with that. Anytime I've seen that dramatic drop, it seems to be delayed. So I don't know yet if it's going to be Christmas week, New Year's, or right into the first week of January. But the signal to have it drop down is still there. It hasn't gone away. We just don't know yet on timing. So we're going to be patient on that. I know we wanted at Christmas time, at least some of it, to get some snow in here. But if it doesn't really have the ability to drop down, then we're going to end up with a warm flow into the lower 48. Remember what I showed you guys in the winter forecast, where our likely storm tracks will be this season. And so far, I think these are lined up quite well for what has been happening, where we're getting these systems that are digging in the Great Lakes, one or two that are digging in the troughs of the jet in Ohio Valley. And then we got southern systems that are rolling either along the deep south or they're cutting through Kentucky. Here's the problem. These two storm tracks here, you're not going to be able to see anything until the very last minute. These are very short range type of systems. Very difficult to predict because they are coming in at a very sharp angle, very poor weather network as far as being sampled. They're a challenge. The ones that are south, much easier to track and fine tune, but I don't know how many of those we'll see. But I think that's the two features that we'll be finding ourselves in as we get into later in December into January. Did that all make sense? I feel like I just rambled again, a bunch of names and words, but I want to make sure that you guys are aware that this is not going to be a typical El Nino. The placement of the warm water in the Pacific Ocean, while it is at a strong, getting up there close to record levels on the El Nino side of the warm waters, the Pacific, it's a little more displaced than what it even was a month ago. And placement matters, and we don't know yet. There's not a lot of study on what that would mean for the rest of the globe, especially for the Northern Hemisphere. So there's a lot of unknowns here. So we're kind of learning with you guys as we go along, but it is fascinating to see how it plays out. But at least we can see the pattern about 10 to 14 days out and get an idea of the trends. And that's basically what my job is to do, is explain what those trends are. All right. Lauren, made sense to me. All right, Lauren, you're the only one that responded so good. Lauren's the only one that matters on that. Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out. I don't know if he's watching, to Philip Glenn. I ran into his wife, Sherry, this morning. I was in an event this morning, so I wasn't able to do the blog this morning. And I went to high school with Sherry. It was so good to see her. But apparently Philip is a big fan of watching SnowTALK. I think she said he hides, though, when he watches it. I'm not sure why you hide while you watch SnowTALK. Don't be embarrassed. Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to you and thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. Hey, he is here. Philip, what's up? Good timing. Hey, Sean Bowdy, how you doing, man? Sean Bowdy's yelling bots in the hallway here. He loves snow probably more than I do, to be honest with you. All right, good to see you, Philip, and it was good to see Sherry as well. So make sure to tell her I said hello again and be safe. All right, guys, that's where we stand today. Sorry I've been rambling a bit. Hey, I don't get a chance to talk to you guys too often on a day like that. It's been a little busy, but at least want to touch base. Enjoy the rain that is coming our way as we head into Friday. Good napping day for Friday. But hey, beautiful weather tomorrow. Just hang on tight. It's going to be windy the next few days. If you got Frosty or Santa inflatables in your front yard, just anchor them down really well. All right, guys, have a good rest of the day. I'll see you guys coming up at 3 o'clock. See you then.